Peacock. Before you buy one, watch this entire video, because almost everything you think you know about keeping peacocks is wrong, and the mistakes most beginners make in the first 30 days will take years to fix. Peacocks are not garden ornaments, they are not low-maintenance birds, and they are absolutely not quiet neighbors. But if you give them exactly what they need, they will reward you with something genuinely extraordinary every single day. By the end of this guide, you will know everything a beginner needs to know to keep peacocks healthy, happy, and thriving. From their housing and diet, right through to healthcare, breeding, and the legal requirements you absolutely cannot ignore. Peacock is the correct name for the male of the species. The female is called a peahen, the young are called peachicks, and the species as a whole, both male and female, is correctly referred to as peafowl. There are 3 species of peafowl kept worldwide. The Indian peafowl, which is by far the most common, the green peafowl of Southeast Asia, and the Congo peafowl of Central Africa, which is extremely rare in captivity. Indian peafowl, the most commonly kept species, are native to the Indian subcontinent, where they live at forest edges, in grasslands, and around agricultural land, and they have been kept by humans for over 4,000 years. Peacocks in the wild are highly mobile birds that cover large distances every day, foraging, socializing, and competing for territory. And understanding this wild behavior is the single most important foundation for keeping them well in captivity. A peacock in captivity that does not have adequate space, adequate social interaction, and adequate mental stimulation will develop stress behaviors, feather problems, and health issues that are completely preventable with the right setup from day one. Peacock. The very first thing every beginner must understand about housing is that these birds are not chickens, and the space requirements that work for chickens will produce miserable, unhealthy, and dangerous peacocks. A single peacock requires a minimum of 100 square meters of usable outdoor space. But this is truly a minimum, and more space will always produce healthier, calmer, and more naturally behaved birds. For a pair of peacocks, one male and one female, the minimum recommended outdoor space increases to at least 250 square meters, because males become intensely territorial in confined spaces and will harass females relentlessly. Peacocks are powerful flyers and will absolutely escape any enclosure that is not properly covered or tall enough. A minimum fence height of 2.5 meters is required, and even then, wing clipping or full aviary covering is strongly advised. Peacocks must have a solid weatherproof shelter that they can access freely at all times. Not a chicken coop, but a purpose-built structure with very high perches, because peacocks instinctively roost at height every night for safety. The roosting perches inside the peacock shelter must be at least 120 centimeters apart horizontally and staggered in height. Peacocks need to spread their tails when roosting and cannot do so on closely packed perches. The peacock shelter must provide complete protection from wind, rain, and cold. Peacocks are far more cold sensitive than most people realize, and prolonged exposure to cold, damp conditions causes severe respiratory illness very quickly. In the UK and other temperate climates, peacock shelters must be heated during winter months. Peacocks will tolerate mild cold if dry, but cannot tolerate cold and wet simultaneously, and temperatures below 5 degrees Celsius require supplementary heat. The ground surface inside a peacock enclosure is far more important than most beginners ever consider. Bare muddy ground causes foot infections, feather problems, and stress, while a well-planned ground surface actively supports the bird's health. A combination of short grass, dry loose soil for dust bathing, and areas of gravel near shelters provides peacocks with the variety of ground surfaces they naturally seek and need for both physical and psychological health. Plant trees and tall shrubs inside or along the edges of the peacock enclosure wherever possible. Peacocks feel dramatically more secure when they have access to natural cover, and trees also provide natural shade in summer. Provide your peacocks with environmental enrichment inside the enclosure. Scatter feeding rather than bowl feeding, varied foraging surfaces, occasional new objects to investigate. Because peacocks are intelligent birds that need mental stimulation. Peacock. Understanding what these birds eat in their natural habitat is the foundation of feeding them correctly in captivity. And the majority of peacock health problems that vets see are directly caused by nutritional deficiency. Wild peacocks are omnivores that eat an enormously varied diet, including seeds, berries, insects, small mammals, small reptiles, amphibians, and even small snakes. which is why a seed-only captive diet produces chronically unhealthy birds. The ideal captive peacock diet replicates this wild variety as closely as possible, combining a high-quality game bird pellet, fresh vegetables and fruits, live insects or mealworms, and occasional whole grain scratch feed. Game bird pellets, specifically formulated for pheasants, turkeys, or peafowl, should form the foundation of your peacock's daily diet and should be available to your birds at all times throughout the day in a clean, weatherproof feeder. Fresh vegetables should be offered to your peacocks every single day. Dark leafy greens including kale, spinach, cabbage, and Swiss chard are excellent choices that provide essential vitamins, minerals, and hydration simultaneously. Fruit is an excellent occasional supplement for peacocks. Berries, apple slices, grapes, watermelon, and melon are all accepted eagerly and provide natural sugars, antioxidants, and hydration, especially valuable during hot summer months. Live mealworms, dried insects, and small feeder insects should be offered to your peacocks at least 3 times per week. These provide the high-quality protein and essential amino acids that peacocks cannot get from a plant-based diet alone. Whole grain scratch feeds, including mixed grain, sunflower seeds, and corn should be offered in small amounts as an afternoon supplement only. These are high in carbohydrates and can cause obesity and nutritional imbalance if overfed. Clean fresh water must be available to your peacocks at all times. Peacocks drink large quantities, particularly in warm weather, and will become stressed and ill very quickly if clean water is unavailable for even a few hours. Change your peacock's water every single day without exception. Standing water in outdoor enclosures becomes contaminated with droppings, feathers, and soil bacteria extremely rapidly, and contaminated water is a primary source of serious illness. Provide your peacocks with constant access to a poultry mineral supplement and oyster shell grit. Minerals support feather development, bone strength, and overall immune function, and grit is essential for proper digestion of whole grains and seeds. During molting season, which occurs annually in late summer, increase your peacock's protein intake significantly by offering more live insects, mealworms, and high-protein game bird supplement, because growing new feathers demands enormous nutritional resources. Peacock. Before you purchase a single bird in the United Kingdom, you must understand the legal requirements that apply to peafowl keepers, because ignorance of these regulations is not a legal defense, and the penalties for non-compliance are serious. In England, Scotland, and Wales, any premises keeping more than 50 birds, including peacocks, must be registered with APHA, the Animal and Plant Health Agency. But voluntary registration is strongly recommended for all peacock keepers regardless of flock size. Peacock keepers in the UK must comply with all biosecurity requirements under the Avian Influenza Prevention Zone orders when these are in force, including housing birds indoors, preventing wild bird access to feed and water, and maintaining detailed flock records. But the peacock that walks through your garden at its own unhurried pace, that fans its tail in the morning light, that has learned to tolerate and even approach you because you have earned its trust, that bird is one of the most magnificent things you will ever share your life with. Everything that bird requires, the space, the food, the veterinary care, the patience, the knowledge, is completely achievable if you begin with the right information, the right setup, and the genuine commitment these extraordinary birds deserve. If this guide has helped you understand what peacock keeping truly involves, and if you are still excited about bringing these magnificent birds into your life, then you are already better prepared than the vast majority of people who have ever kept them.